Hi, welcome. In this next video series, I want to profile a couple really solid, okay, fantastic dog trainers who are doing it right. And when I talk about, again, all the problems in the dog training world, there's so much that's wrong based, again, on how trainers are approaching a relationship problem between dogs and owners. I talk about this counterfeit picture change. I talk about the problem with appearances. But here again, I've mentioned I put another video about the five trainers, okay, that are solid in terms of advocating a process, okay, beyond appearances. And so here, this is a husband-wife team out of Russia. You watch their videos. I would really encourage you to go subscribe to their channel, watch their videos, and it has auto translate. Because here's the thing: I talk about watch my videos. People do struggle in certain terms, how I word certain things. I understand that can be very challenging. And so to watch again other trainers, how they word things, perhaps a little bit differently, but again, the method is exactly the same. It can be very helpful, okay, with helping make certain connections. So, but again, both these trainers, one husband, wife, one Anton, pictured here. And here's the thing: he just completed my introductory to the relational approach course, and that's an online course with flying colors. Okay, I mean solid, and his background here very interesting. Again, you read a lot of his comments in terms of talking about how he was a balanced dog trainer. I mean, he even took the big course, okay, like a play-based, course, $10,000 plus course. But again, still looking for answers. Okay, still knowing, okay, there's something not lining up here. There's something that is problematic by way of appearances, and again, endeavoring to figure it out. And just like again, talk about the journey with by way of Jack Morton and his dog Kaiser. I would really encourage you to watch the podcast by way of Jack Morton. They're on my YouTube channel. Very insightful. He talks about his journey. Kaiser is like one of the most aggressive dog cases I've ever encountered. And Jack was fully committed. And again, you'll see the videos on my channel. You see more of them. Again, if you want more content, okay? And I talk about certain, situations. You'll get the extra content by way of the member area option. So you go onto my website. I call it member area. Anyone can be a member. It's going to give you access to, hundreds of exclusive videos that really will help to fill in even more of the dots, connect more dots. So you can check that out. It's just a one-time payment. It's going to give you unlimited access, lifetime access to all the videos that are in there. And there's a lots of great content. Now, here on this video, again, talking about, again, trainers doing it right. So I want to actually profile a couple of their videos here to talk through this. Very interesting insight here. Again, again, solid trainers. And so let's play some of this. Get your cup of coffee. Okay, this is like a positive coffee video. Okay, I have my popcorn videos too. We talk about some of these responding to some of these ridiculous trainers out there selling a counterfeit picture. Well, those are my popcorn, videos. You want entertainment because it's so ridiculous. Here, get your coffee out, and as we go through, I'll do some parts here, but just go through, and it's really nice. It's really enjoyable to actually profile trainers doing it right. It's very encouraging to see that. And again, the encouragement is I've seen like over the last several months, a lot of these trainers, really doing it. So I couldn't say the same thing like 2 years ago. Now it's very encouraging to see. I'm seeing more and more trainers doing all right. So again, we see trainers out there saying they don't understand Dale's method. With dogs, listen, you can go watch these trainers. They show everything. They got the dogs. Okay, they talk through it. So to say that I'm some sort of anomaly or whatever, no, there's nothing hidden. Here's an example of two trainers that are doing the method. They're showing everything, and they've been through all of it. So This is a great, these are great trainers to actually, go in and Anton, he responds. He'll respond and he's very insightful. If you have questions or your journey, whatever, go in, leave a comment on his videos. He's really quick to respond. Great, he responds. So you'll see him engaging in some of my videos there, responding with people. I think that's fantastic. So let's play some of this.
If your dog starts pulling on the leash or stops listening to you and seeing another dog, this video is for you. Watch it until the end. Today we will show practical examples from our training sessions with.
And you'll see, some of these trainers like, Murdoch and like going on about, where's the off leash dogs? I don't show a lot of off leash dogs because that's just not my focus. When you see my videos, I focus in on, all right, I'm engaging. We really think about things. Again, this is where you have to kind of step back and consider what these trainers are saying, right? They're saying, well, why don't you see a certain thing? Then I reverse and say, well, why don't I see proper process? Okay. Why don't I actually see the most important part of that process by way of a interaction based approach? So when you go into my videos, you'll see again, yeah, you'll see in close and personal with the leash. You'll see very specific interactions because that's what pieces together to get to off leash the right way. But here's the thing: these trainers, like again, talk about Murdoch, are rushing, like absolutely trying to sprint forward to achieve a certain picture, but the picture is fake and phony. Okay, understand this is the problem. Like it's not appearances, are appearances. Okay, there's about depth. It's about understanding, how do I arrive at a picture that I can trust? It's not just about a Christmas postcard picture, but so many trainers out there, they're just so, bent over and they don't have any sort of no critical thinking. They don't care. They don't want to, they don't even want to know. So I'll like that is what you'll see. You'll see off leash dogs on my stuff. You'll even see again in the process with the board and trains right around day 12, me starting to engage more off leash control, right? But it's a sequence. Understand that's not, my thing is the most important part that you're going to see to actually create the right picture. Okay, so that's what 90% of my content you're going to see. It's the difficult stuff. It's the stuff that these trainers don't do. It's the stuff that they just bypass and jump over, and then you end up with again reactive dogs. They have dogs they can't even work through a relationship problem with. But here with these trainers, you'll see off leash dogs going in the right way. Okay, you'll see quite a bit of that on their channel. You can check it out.
Different dogs to demonstrate how.
And she has this female trainer. Like I did another video on her. She has outstanding, outstanding technique. Okay, you can tell. I could tell right away when I watched how she moves with her hands and her body and what she's doing. Very dialed in.
We work through this issue. Before starting work with triggers, skills must be practiced in a calm environment.
So same thing. So see, Anton, he's doing the same thing. He's transitioning to a little bit off leash here. But when the dog starts to, you get that hang time, as I call it, right away. Don't wait. Just start to, just very naturally, just take a hold of the dog and start to line it up. And you see that in my videos too. It's like when you start to transition to the more off leash, that you're kind of right there the right way. Okay, then you can start to line it up, but it's all about the understanding the transition. Okay, the dog, how focus is generated. Okay, through the core ingredients being reconciled, the integrity of that being reconciled and holding true. Okay, for a certain period of time. Then once the focus changes on towards you the right way, the perceptions change. And so the dog is very much focused. Then you can start to go into the more of the off leash stuff. Okay. You can start to make that change.
In a calm
See?
environment, the dog should be able to walk by your side.
So he's doing it right here. This is the off leash transition right here. This is what he's doing. He's got that long line here, but he's doing it outside here. He's doing it right here. There it is.
Consistently maintain focus on.
See that? Excellent.
You and generally react properly to.
So he's just ready again when that dog starts to hang back, just taking a hold of the dog's collar, like your arm is the leash, and start to, engage, start to kind of recalibrating.
All your actions and commands. Only after that do we move on to triggers.
Training
So yeah,
begins
so
by
see that about triggers. So same thing, like you get into this thing with distractions. Okay. If you watch my videos again, you want to start in kind of a low distraction area first for it could be a couple days. And then, you see me, I'll hit the street. Like I'll start to go out my neighborhood and start to work off of, other dogs, people, cars, vehicles, everything. But it's just like when I step out onto the street, it's no different than being in the training environment. Okay. Your thinking needs to be exactly the same. You don't think any different. It's important just to maintain the right way of thinking.
learning to read your dog and learning to see in advance what is happening in their mind. The thing is, most people notice way too late. When the dog has already lunged, they start wondering what they should do now.
Very good point. So he's talking about the difference between proactive and reactive. So you talk about reactive. I talk about this, what represents reactive. You talk about a group of trainers who are reactive, not dialed in. I did this profile, especially like Miracle Canine. I've got some great videos out there on this whole issue. They're reactive, balanced dog trainers. They're reactive. Okay, they're not. They wait until the mind is already blown up. The dog is already controls already manifesting. Okay, and that's why they call it a correction, right? They're trying to, but they're waiting too long. Okay, dialed in means that you understand. Number one, you're dealing with a relationship problem, so therefore, okay, you have to be proactive with intercepting that stinking thinking, express states. That's where the dialed in part is one of the things that makes the system of training like totally different. No, you're wrong. They're dialed in the same way, and he's talking about that. So, but you have to understand that the thing is you have to be all in this system. I talk about this like to try to hold on to an idea of like being a balanced trainer. Okay, force free, play bait. You got to let that stuff go. You got because this is different. You're dialed in different. Okay, it makes all the difference.
Now, should I yank the leash, shout at them, say no, or offer them treats to distract them? And so on. The biggest mistake is just continuing to walk. If you notice several symptoms like tail wagging, perked ears, or a locked gaze on one point.
Yeah,
Different dogs show this in different ways, but either way, it means the dog is fixated on the other dog already.
that's right. So again, you wait. And that's what trainers do. Dog owners do the same thing. Like they're watching the dog. The dog's already having a reaction. Already, it's like their mind is already wrapping around that stinking thinking's happening, and it's too late. When I say too late, it means you're not going to be effective. Okay, you're not. You're behind the curve of the dog's mind. And so when you get up into these levels with some dogs that I call the 1 percentile dogs, you might as well forget it. Okay, not gonna reverse out of that way, not through balanced training, not through that type of reactionary posture. Okay, it's a big deal, but you want to do that with all dogs anyway. You have to be dialed in. You want to be consistent in how you think. I had a great training session yesterday with a new dog owner, and she's heavily involved with like other dogs and stuff. And when I was going through it, it just all made sense to her. She'd gone through the same thing, balance train, all this stuff, and it was fantastic. Because people get it. Especially when you're doing it. So I understand there's a big doing part here that I encourage. Like if you're just watching my videos or even if watching their videos, there's still maybe this thing of I don't. You have to do it. You have to start to move forward. Take the first step.
Planning to lunge, already thinking about it, and it is exactly at this moment that you need to start acting.
Yeah.
And the first action is to simply stop. We physically stop in order to halt the flow of those thoughts
That's an excellent point. He words it differently. The flow of those thoughts, right? Stop. This is where I'll layer in, even the one step method. You want to slow things down. But there's a time and place, like you said, right there, stop. Because that's a reasonable demand. I say it all the time. I mean, if you want to see the real deal with some of these dogs, like I talk about, I keep bringing Murdoch's name up, this whole thing with movement, moving. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you moving? the whole movement thing is, presents a problem because the dog's mind is jumping. Okay, that's a major problem. You need to halt. Okay, stop. And then the reaction of the dog to that reasonable demand, then you'll see it. How agreeable, okay, is the dog to just stop it? And you can count up to 1001, 1002, up to say 30 seconds. Watch and pay attention. If that dog starts going crazy, has a high reaction, you know you got a problem. And you might start moving, and look, the dog will look better, but the relationship isn't going to get any better. Okay, because the dog's mind is jumping. Okay, if I three houses down, there's another dog there. That dog is just like you're, just like an anchor point. You're just like along for the ride, and you don't even realize it. And you wonder why you can't get things resolved, right? Because it's about fading in. Okay, it's about establishing you becoming the pivot point. That's so critical.
Surge of excitement and the drive to rush forward. And that is exactly what I did. At the start of the training, I stopped and turned slightly to the side because the more the dog looks ahead, the more they charge up, get excited, and want to lunge.
So very good too here too, and you'll see them doing this. Like, you want to make sure if I call it the circle method. You'll see them going in a circle here. So the more the more the dog's trying to move out in front, the tighter your circle should be. Okay, to block the dog, to get the dog's head. So it's like if the dog's on your left side, you're doing the circle method, you need to move to your left. Use your body, okay, to block the dog. And you actually you'll be making some contact with the dog's head, and not to hurt them, okay? I mean, in fact, it actually takes stress off the dog, believe it or not, as you do this. Or you see, because it's about clarity, okay? It's about relationship. Okay, the dog knows that you're taking control. And what you'll see through the circle method is very interesting as the focus shifts at a high level. The dog will actually move their head in towards you as you're making these turns for the contact. It actually feels good to them. And that's like a foreign thing to people. It's like, why would the dog want to make, you to make contact? Because you're in harmony with nature. Okay, it's not a bad type of contact. Okay, so very interesting. Okay, as you do the method, you'll see how, people's perceptions of control, of influence, if they align properly, okay, through the relationship and through your movements, right, it provides clarity for the dog, takes stress off. Whereas a correction, that type of cranking and yanking, that's not what I'm talking about. That's reactionary. Okay, that's you're waiting too long. Okay, so proactive, one of the big themes, being proactive is a major theme. So we'll stop part one here. This is again a fantastic video. We'll be going through quite a bit. It's just to add to it, talk through it. But again, it's great hearing these trainers talking because number one, they're doing it right. Okay, they have a high level of insight, and it's a great opportunity to gain more clarity. For if you're watching videos, you're looking at my system, and go and watch these trainers. They're putting out some fantastic content. It can be very helpful to kind of navigate and understand and gain even more insight into the system. Thanks for watching.